themselves. That pick and ban phase was very interesting, but this is NRG, and we do know that in times previous, when they've had a bad game in game one, they do have the strength to come back if they can find it in themselves. What would you change from them in picks and bans?
I want to see a little bit more CC lockdown from NRG, and also I think that it was a little bit too greedy, although I like the concept behind Raffer to pick up the beads initially, because he probably would have been focused out. It's like a double-edged sword.
Sure.
It's like if he didn't have the beads, they probably would have looked and placed a lot more emphasis on the Raffer, but if he had like a shell available potentially to help with some of that team fighting capability, then it might have been a little bit smoother, but you just can't really tell with the way that things are going.
Kamazot's Hoyi banned by Obey, Fafnir Ganesha from NRG, so a bit of a change up there. Fafnir now banned by NRG. They think the Fafnir was the issue. Obey are definitely going to take Kernanos for Ataraxia, though, if they can, after the game he had then.
I also really like the Bologna selection for NRG. I think Maniac was a huge issue
I agree.
for NRG. Osiris is strong, but when it came to the team fights, the Eagles rally on top of the bludgeon damage. It was just so much easier for Maniac to just stick to those backline carries. He was all over Yaman on the Soul, all over Emilito on the Jingwei.
And all over Yaman on the Soul, you mentioned there. Soul's not an easy character to kill.
No.
And then on top of that, Yamin's not an easy character guy to kill in the mid lane either. His position is generally top-notch. So managing to get to the Soul multiple times is quite surprising when you think of how good the front line was for NRG there.
Well, they're trading things off this time around. It's going to most likely be Dimmy on that Bologna, and then you're going to be seeing Maniac on the Osiris, I'd expect. So it'll be interesting to see whether Maniac is still able to maintain the lane presence as much as he had the team fighting presence as well.
Well, Kepri locked in this time around for NRG, giving over to Rafa. He went Terra last game. They're going to ban that one away themselves with Fafnir banned out. Emilzi's going to have to go a little bit deeper. We've seen Emilzi run Amaterasu before. Would we see him in a comp like this when you've already got 3 physicals, though?
I would prefer not to see it in a competition like this, especially since Nemesis hasn't been banned away yet from Obey. That's always a possible option for NRG. Adapting can play basically any jungler, and it is going to be Susano that Adapting is opting for, and that's a pretty scary selection to see coming out of Adapting.
Bit more mobility on this character, even though he was playing Raven last game. He's got more mobility, more early damage potential. There is the Amaterasu, actually. I was not expecting that. I did not.
I like
Maybe with the Nemesis, though, being banned, sorry, not being picked, that he thought it was a better option.
I think that that's exactly why that occurred, is because Adapting didn't offer the Nemesis. He felt more confident with the Susano, and I like the Susano more for the draft that NRG has. I think the Susano is going to pair a little bit easier with that Soul as far as setup potential is concerned. You want to allow Soul to get off her Stellar Burst and the ultimate, and so I think with the pull-in from Susano, that damage is definitely going to land.
Well, Rama last pick for NRG given over to Emilito here. How do we feel about the Isis pick? We've seen more and more Isis as time's gone on. Why is Isis back in the meta, Taco?
It's just the objective control. She has a ton of objective control, and she's really good for sieging. Her ultimate just provides a lot of safety inside of it. It can work both ways. If you're not careful with your positioning and you're being forced out of your ultimate, it could definitely work against you.
Well, you saw the first bit of poke on the board. Yamin credited with the first amount of damage. Remember, it's the first basic that guarantees you the win of the game. If it's a Hunter trade-off, does Soul count as a Hunter, though?
I mean, she got the damage first in the mid lane, and Twig's taking a couple of free shots as well.
They're really trying to pressure this lane early on. You can see Dimmy and Maniac both making sure they're about in this mid lane too, just in case. But this is Yamin and Adapting looking for lane pressure with the Stellar Burst early on. Stop Pretty Prime getting that Wingust online. Adapting needs quite a lot of poke from that Wingust damage and the auto attacks and the minions too. So they actually may go even on this lane push here overall with the second Stellar Burst coming out. Yamin and Adapting will fall to the right-hand side, and it looks like may see a contest around the Elementals there as well now.
I think they're definitely going to look to contest each other for the Elementals, but Maniac has started, Dimmy has started making the rotation sooner to these Elementals, and with that chunk of health already disappearing for Twig, it's just safer for these guys to go for their speed.
So they do get the big Elemental there. Dimmy hits level 2. The bad news is because Dimmy was there, Yamin and Adapting don't hit level 2 themselves, and it's actually Obey's dual lane, sorry, mid lane and jungle composition that will hit level 2 ahead of them. Left-hand side, you saw what NRG did. They've managed to strip away the purple. The red buff was started by Obey. NRG are looking to defend their own jungle now, as it looks like Obey want to return the favor.
With Yaman still being in the mid lane, it does seem a lot easier for Ataraxia and Emilzi to just aggress onto this red buff, and Pretty Prime making the rotation. I'm not sure Raffer wants to try and contest
No,
this.
and he doesn't. He'll just walk away. He might throw out a dart if he can. They will potentially lose the purple buff here as well with 3 members. Yaman's still in the mid lane, just looking to try and steal it away there with NRG over the wall with the Astral Arrows. But a little bit too late, gives Obey another small win.
And that's just already in favor of Obey. Now that they have those buffs on their timers, I can definitely anticipate Obey looking to make an invade off the first buff cycle.
Just want to make you all aware at home as we watch Millsy getting abducted there. No Sunders at the start of this game. We do have a Frenzy, and we do have Sprint on the side of the supports, but not a single Sunder.
No Sunders.
Why is that?
Well,
I thought it was so good that everybody had to get it. That's what I'm reading on Twitter every day. It's 5 Sunders versus 5 Sunders. Why is there no Sunders, Taco? Explain.
Frenzy is excellent for helping a lane that would struggle a little bit more at the start, or even a lane that's even and clear potential. If you pop that Frenzy, you're 100% clearing that lane, no questions asked, and it's just so easy to get ahead of your opponent and then look for the buff invade afterwards, which is exactly what Obey did. Sure, they lost their purple buff to NRG, but their response was on point.
Well, Obey's mid lane and jungle hit level 5 above everybody else. Dimmy just following suit with them, and these elementals could be a bit interesting here for NRG to look to contest, not being level 5 themselves. But with the fact they've got Sol here with the Stellar Burst, they could look to cause some problems for them. Unfortunately, Obey will take the elementals, however, before NRG can get in position.
I think we also have our answer, by the way, for who has the more favorable matchup as far as Bologna and Osiris are concerned. Maniac losing half his health bar to this bludgeon consistently to Dimmy, and Dimmy is probably a lot happier to not have to be worried about getting poked out nonstop.
And so what's the matchup potential here? Basically, if well, like one from hold that for, hang on, Prime's in trouble in mid lane here. Aegis will absorb some damage, Circle of Protection returned a bit of a heal, but he can't get away from Yamin and the Supernova that will pick up the kill.
And that's the chase rundown factor that you always have to worry about when it comes to Susano. Isis is an incredibly risky pick into this god because it's just so easy for Susano to stick to an Isis.
And also for Yamin to get free damage off an Isis too. You get the Stellar Burst Supernova, and that's the real combo that Sol brings to the mid lane now, right? Is the all-in burst potential of the 2-shot.
I think what was really unfortunate for Prime there was his Aegis was still activated when the heal from his ultimate would have procced onto him. I think if that heal had potentially, if he'd received the heal from his ult, he might have lived there.
Okay.
It was still kind of unlikely because of the damage from the soul, but he had a much better chance of surviving than, you know, the Aegis preventing that heal.
Well, watch his gift to Millsy alongside Bomber's Mask in the support role this game, playing the Amaterasu. You can see Raven with a different option playing Capri with the low nose mask for the stacks, the extra health you'll get from stacking that up, as well as the bonus gold you get for getting all those stacks to max level. What's the real difference between, why do we see Bombers on Amaterasu here for the support role? Is it because just the sustain of the jungle more often than not?
He's looking for sustain off of the jungle, and he's probably also looking for the invades. Invades, if you heal off the enemy's buff, it can turn a fight pretty heavily in your favor, because imagine you're fighting around the buff and then immediately you just get a burst heal because your team secures it.
Well, I see some fighting around the elementals yet again. A lot of pressure from this, and that ring toss doing a lot of good work to NRG, but they'll sustain back up for the most part. Sash from Twig was looking for Rafa, but Rafa's big old booty managed to get away from there. God, that Kepri model's so big.
Kepri is certainly not one of the gods that we're accustomed to seeing the Sash just come short of, but it happens. And instead, Obey are just going to look to farm up those left mid harpies. Yeah,
Maniac and Dimmy continuing to trade away in this lane. This has been a battle that we saw in game 1, but they've just reversed gods now, so it's another reverse mirror match between the two. Do you reckon we'll see any changes to this after the patch? Maybe you've seen some different gods in the solo lane, or we still probably gonna be around the Osiris, Bologna, Raven meta?
I feel like these two gods in particular will probably still be toyed around with a decent bit, just because they still won't be completely out of things. I think that it'll still provide enough sustainability for people to want to try it out.
Sure. Well, at the moment you can see we're in week 2. There's 5 weeks of this SPL summer split, I should say. The top couple of teams from each region will manage to get their way to Valencia to complete the land there at DreamHack. And that's what they're all playing for this split, is the chance to travel to Spain.
And in EU, the competition is certainly very close, considering that you have NRG, Obey, Enix, Dig, and Rival. All of these teams are fairly close to each other right now.
Would you say the competition in EU right now is more tight for the spot for Valencia than North America, or is it about even?
I would say it's probably much tighter.
Okay.
For sure in EU. In EU, I think so.
Well, 6 minutes in, Gold Fury is available for both teams. War coverage definitely in favor of Obey right now around the area, although NRG have eyes on as well. And Millsy pressuring the mid lane onto Rafa and Yamin, but they don't want to get too far forward because the abducts and adapting on his way too. He's trying to pull a Millsy in. He's got no backup from Rafa or Yamin though, not realizing adapting was going to go as deep as he did.
I think adapting just wanted the poke damage onto Emilzy, potentially force an ultimate, but Emilzy able to realize that the rest of NRG just wasn't close enough to really get off any follow-up damage.
It felt like a damage check more often than not. That's what I can kind of feel about some characters. You'll poke a Guardian or you'll poke a support and just see how much damage are we doing. Talk about damage when you pop a Frenzy in a circle of protection. The Gold Fury does not last very long indeed.
They just have to run. That's all that Obey needs to do right now is just run as fast as possible. Adapting, pulling everybody in.
He pulled forward, but he didn't manage to find anybody else off that, unless Emilito can clean up Emilzy. The last shot did not hit home, and Emilzy will survive. So NRG do not find anything off the fact that Obey get the Gold Fury. You can still see adapting going in on Twig on the left and right hand side here, trying to contest and make sure he can strip away some back harpies, but Obey come out on top.
Adapting pulled everybody's actives there, though. That was an incredible Susanna pull-in. The setup potential was just so strong. Just unfortunate that his ultimate landed onto 2 Aegis members of Obey.
I think the one scary thing about Obey right now is how quickly they are going for objectives. When the call is there, the whole team turns up and it's gone in seconds. They've done it against the Gold Fury. They've been working on it all year, it feels like, to get their objective control so strong. And that's one of the things North America noticed about Europe as general, was their objective control was a lot stronger and you had to be much more aware of potential situations where it'd be stripped away from you.
And being so much better at Gold Fury and just objective control in general is because of NRG, because that was what NRG was notorious for. Around that 12-15 minute mark, they would just immediately turn up out of nowhere, start sieging the entire map objectives, and once that happened, that was just GG. Teams knew this is over. NRG are having their lead now, they're taking control of the game, and that's what other teams started doing to them.
Precisely, I think that's one thing, is like we've seen it with the likes of Cog Prime in the past. You can't sit at the top of the standings forever because you can't get better if you're the best. You can try and improve and continue improving, but eventually people will catch up and follow in your footsteps, improve and continue to grind on. That's why we saw Cog Prime fall down. Same reason we saw Cog Red fall down. And it might be the same reason why we're starting to see the slow demise of NRG. I'm not saying it's over yet for them, because they're still world champs technically until, you know, next January, so they're still in the mix.
But it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to maintain their position and standing at the top, because I think that the rest of the EU has pretty much caught on to their game plan. So whether or not they come out with something new, you never really know with these guys, because they're still a very formidable team to go against.
Well, it's only 1 kill so far the way of NRG Esports. Obey getting that Gold Fury did even the game up relatively so. NRG obviously up a little bit more in golden experience. They're doing a better job of farming. And I asked you this in Game 1, Taco. Game 2, is there a team this benefits going to around 10 minutes mark of being even?
I would say that it benefits NRG more. I think that NRG have a little bit of a stronger late game fight, because most of Obey's mid to late game is going to start relying pretty heavily onto Captain Twig, and who Twig is either A, pulling out of a fight, because he could just choose to ult Raffer off cooldown to prevent Raffer from getting his res off on any of his teammates, or he could just one-shot burst somebody like Adapting.
Well, talk about Adapting. He was looking for a planted Maniac there, didn't manage to find the siphon that he was after. Instead, he's going to disengage to make sure that Maniac doesn't return the favor, and with Captain Twig showing his face on the left-hand side, Emilito decides, no, I'm not going to hang around here any longer. I'd rather be nice and safe on the other side of the map.
NRG have a very strong presence, though, for objective sieging, and I think that theirs is a little bit better than Obey's, because Obey's require so much commitment. If you're dropping the Isis ultimate to secure those objectives, then that just leaves you open.
Well, Obey are very far out of the way of contesting that pole demon. And Millsy was kept in combat by Rafa, trying to abduct him. Emilito could be in trouble in the jungle, though, as Twig finds him. But reinforcements for NRG are here now. And you can see Emilito's running away as the Eagles rallying from Dimion towards Pretty Prime. Prime's in a lot of trouble in the mid lane, and the Bludgeon will smash open Isis' head. 1 kill the way of NRG, as well as the Portal Demon. Win for NRG.
He actually just bopped him on the noggin right
He really did, yep.
And Emelita just easily returning back through that Portal Demon entryway. Maniac forced the
But
pull
not
back.
just him. Adapting's coming, Dimmy's coming, and they're all looking to pressure the mid lane combination. Obey are forced out to the left-hand side of their map, which means they could look for the Gold Fury of potential picks of Tier 1. Bad news is Gold Fury's not up yet. NRG were really hunting their tackle. They couldn't find anything.
NRG want to be as aggressive as possible right now because they know that they have that Portal Demon to their advantage. And on top of that, the Gold Fury is going to be respawning shortly. And like I was saying right before that Portal Demon engagement broke out, it's so much easier for NRG to have that objective secure. Could be a little bit of a skirmish on the side as far as
Oh, this is blue though. That's the main thing that they were looking for on this right-hand side. Steal Maniac's blue away, try and stop him spamming the abilities as often, give it over to Dimmy as well, and also get the experience for themselves.
I just feel as though Obey are going to have to be a little bit more careful about choosing when to pop that Isis ultimate. You don't want to just drop it for objective secure at this point because it's all too easy for NRG to just gas pedal chase down Obey.
Well, here comes a gank on Maniac again. Adapting, closes the gap, pulls him in. Eagles rally right on top from Dimmy. Taking time to bring down Maniac, who should be falling down any minute. It did cost them 2 ultimates, but they found what they were looking for. Obey are going to try and rush the Gold Fury. You can see the mini-map right now, where they're all just trying to head over there as quick as they can to try and answer this back. But Yamin and Amelito are nearby, and they'll know this is going on.
And the damage on that Gold Fury is insane. I'm not even sure that Isis ultimate was needed.
No, I don't think so either. I'm surprised, though, that they didn't really notice what was going on there, NRG, or at least respond a little bit earlier. The bad news is Obey still looking to fight a little bit too much here, and in the end, they do back away. NRG was on the right-hand side, however. Adapting will pick up a Tier 1 tower.
Adapting probably got the call-out from his team as that was going to happen, but now Rapper is getting the call-out that he needs help. Twig takes him up into the sky. He's not going to have a chance to res until he gets it off, just saying.
But now he's got the ultimate off, but the boar is already waiting for him. Ataraxia, credit for the kill. First one for the way of Obey, as Rafa took a bit of a risky route through mid lane. This is opening a window now for Obey to pressure the Tier 1 tower.
They want to just force down this T1 as fast as possible. Dimmy's making the rotation, but he's not going to be able to do anything. This tower shred is just all too strong from Ataraxia and the rest of his squad.
So look at the gold difference between the teams now, and you can see it's almost back to even. There is still a lead in terms of experience for NRG, but at 2,000, it's not enough to call the game done just yet. NRG still hold the reins of this game, though.
I was expecting Twig's ultimate to do a little bit more damage to Raffer there, and for him to just kind of die upon landing, but I do think that was a very smart choice by Obey because the rest of NRG couldn't afford to push into that choke point once Ataraxia dropped the Wild Hunt.
Well, we saw the gold lead a minute ago, but that Tier 1 tower in the mid lane going NRG's way for free there. I think it was a small mistake from Obey. They all backed away at the same time. Nobody stayed to defend the mid-wave tower, which means NRG get a free one in response. And now attention will turn towards the Portal Demon on the right-hand side of the map as speed buffs are respawning. And the Portal Demon is the next best thing to get on the map when the Gold Fury is down.
I'm not sure that Obey could have really defended that T1 tower. I think they all needed to just back off anyway because after a siege and a team fight like that, it's just better for them to go and heal up because 500 gold all around isn't really going to hurt you too much, especially when you've already taken the T1 for yourself.
I guess it's just about map vision is what I'm thinking about, and positions to like hold on to as a team to siege through. Oracle's on the left-hand side, going to go the way of NRG Esports here, giving them some vision. Obviously, there's no Gold Fury for another 2.5 minutes, so that vision will only be really useful for keeping an eye on cheeky rotations into NRG's half of the jungle.
And Ataraxia is sticking true to the Shifter Shield ADC build, so I'm kind of anticipating Rage to be the next item of choice, considering that's what he built into last time.
No, it's Ataraxia. It's Transcendence next. Listen, it's Transcendence next, and then follow that up with...
A Brawlers?
Brawlers Beatstick. And if you're really in trouble, the last item there, Deathbringer. That's the build. That's the build. Transcendence into Brawlers Beatstick, sell your Bluestone, get Deathbringer, then sell your boots and pick up, I don't know, Witchblade.
I'd be on board for all of that except for the 4th item, Transcendence. I think that's a little bit too fried for even Ataraxia.
I don't know. I've seen Ataraxia do some jank things in the past. You remember Sylvana solo once upon a time?
That's a legitimate strategy. It just needed time to flourish.
Yeah, legitimate strategy that legitimately didn't work. Just the way it was. Now the Portal Demon has respawned. NRG now back in a position to try and contest this one. They're not going to start it up just yet, as both teams do realize how important this will be, and both hunters not involved in the conversation just yet. It's going to be a bit of a dance-off here, Taco.
Obey having the superior ward vision, though, thanks to Emilzy taking away that one. But NRG do have the backside ward. That's a very common ward spot for teams to place because it ensures that if one side decides to pull the objective, they're typically going to pull it closer to their side to try and prevent any damage getting free poke from the enemy team. So, smart ward vision.
Definitely feeling more of an impact from Adapt in this game on the Susano over the Raven. You can see that he's third on the player damage right now, above Captain Twig, who was third last game. It's been a bit of a battle between the two junglers. Portal Demon's getting very low here. Spirit Ball over the wall, looking to steal it away. Portal Demon goes the way of Energy. Maniac could be in a bit of trouble here, as Emilzy's going to zone away the carries of Energy Esports, so Maniac gets some free room. But Ataraxi's got a little bit too deep. Circle of Protection will keep him standing for now as he's trying to box down Rafa, who wants himself and stays alive. Emelito's in the sky, raining down havoc of snipes, giving Dimmy a kill, and Ataraxi is still in trouble because Dimmy and Adapting are going to clean him up eventually as Twig with the ring toss slowing them both down, taking out Adapting, and now it's Dimmy 2v1, but the disarm is good, and it's allowing Energy to close the gap. This could be a deicide if they can just find Captain Twig.
Twig might be able to escape, though. It's just Raffer looking for him on the backside. He's got the damage. Damn it, he connects. He makes it.
Now what do you do? Fire Giant, or is it Tier 2 Tower? Is it Phoenix? What do you do, Taco?
You back. You can secure this T2, no problem. And then you back, you go through the Portal Demon, you pick up that Fire Giant, and then you siege everything on the map. Well,
the only person alive for Obey right now is Pretty Prime, just respawned. Look at the damage recap at the end there. 2,300 gold swing in favor of Energy. And the Fire Giant was pulled for a second by Rafa, but I don't think anybody else wanted to have anything to do with that, with the Portal Demon falling down.
We've seen Maniac time and time again 1v4, but this time around, I think it actually worked against him. He got a little bit too tunnel visioned onto that backline for NRG, and while he was chasing around Raffer trying to lock down that kill after he burned the Khepri ultimate on himself, his backline is just getting absolutely destroyed by Dimmy on the Bologna. Well,
this goal view is actually really important for Energy. They're only about 4,000 or 5,000 in the lead right now. With the Portal Demon being down and the Fire Giant still standing, all they really got from that team fight was the kills, the Portal Demon, and the Tier 2 Tower. So this goal view very, very key to give them a real lead right now. And Obey are trying to contest, at least Ataraxia was. Emilzy to the rescue at the end. Did he steal it? Emelito will secure it for Energy, making sure Emilzy does not get the cheeky steal.
I thought that was Emilzy for a moment.
I did too.
The
good news is it was Emil and Emil, so I could go Emelito and save it, you see? Nobody knew that at home until I just told him. It was just a bad call that I got correct because of the text.
But this is a call that Obey feel confident in making. They're popping the girdle. They look to commit.
Big
they
Eagle's
have
running.
Ice's ultimate. There's no way.
No, the Fire Giant goes down. Fire Giant goes the way of Obey, but Emilzy has already picked that up for himself. Bad news is Twig's one hit from death and Adaptin's still chasing him down. Emelito snipes, only finds one. Adaptin's still giving chase under the Tier 2 tower. Risky business. Body blocked a little bit from Emilzy there, but it won't be enough to pick him up just yet. Energy were looking to run them down. They've taken 3 lives of Obey. The Tier 2 tower is exposed, and they should be able to get this as well.
At the cost of 3 carries, that Fire Giant call is just to try and buy Obey time. There's no other reason for them to look to commit to that Fire Giant fight because the entirety of Energy was there to respond to it.
But the problem with that is now the Fire Giant's down. Energy are kind of like, well, what do we do now, guys? Because we've taken Tier 2s in mid, we've taken the Tier 2 in right. There's only the Tier 1 and Tier 2 in left, but we're against a Fire Giant team. At least 2 members who still have the Fire Giant here, Taco. Do we have a bit of a reset going on where we're going to have to bit of lull in action while we wait for Obey's Fire Giant buff to wear off?
I think I'd be more intimidated by that if it wasn't for the fact that Twig he doesn't really have crazy burst potential on the Ninja. Sure, you have the crit possibility in the kit, but there's always the concern that he doesn't have that 100
Adapting could be in a bit of trouble here. The ring toss has already been used, but he is Susano after all, so has the mobility to get away along with that speed buff. One thing I do want to talk about that Fire Giant fight, though, was how good Dimmy's ultimate was. That Eagles rally did so much work to slow down the aggression of Obey at the Fire Giant. It bought enough time for Energy to actually contest it.
I really didn't think that Obey was going to be able to secure that for a second, and I was so scared for them that Dimmy was just going to absolutely crush their dreams with the Eagles rally.
Well, Dimmy's kind of crushing dreams right now. 13,000 damage in this game. 6-0-2. His lane opponent, Maniac, who was playing the Bologna last game, is currently 0-3-1 on the Osiris. NRG Esports haven't let up though, even though Obey have the Fire Giant on a couple of members. They're going to get the Tier 1 tower and continue to assault the Tier 2.
I believe this is also similar damage to where Maniac was during this time period of the last game. Rapper looking for the engage though onto Captain Twig, who's actually going to turn the tables and ult him up into the air.
Prime's in trouble. The circle of protection keeps him up. The snipes from Melito looking at it again, but Dimmy's already taken out Ataraxia as Yamin with her Stellar Burst onto Twig, and the Tier 2 tower falls. Maniac and Milsey, the frontline, are both nice and healthy. The bad news is the damage dealers are all dead.
And this is just so in favor of NRG. They can just completely gas pedal down the remaining members of Obey. Rapper forced to use his ultimate, but it's still his ultimate. He's 100% alive.
And he will revive just in time. Still in tower range for a second, though, but he's not got aggro. That was Yamin who had that. And Melito trying to get the in-hands off to pick up Maniac, and will do so as the Phoenix falls too. NRG are looking to try and make this a split. But the respawns are coming through, Taco. They can't end just yet. They need fire minions. And I guess they'd like that next Fire Giant to really secure this one.
Losing left-hand Phoenix, though, is going to be so rough for Obey to try and contest that Fire Giant. I'd imagine that Obey are just going to let NRG have the next Fire and try and defend on their Phoenixes with the Isis ultimate.
Do you not try and contest at all of the Fire Giant here?
It's really risky trying to contest that Fire Giant because we don't want a circumstance, much of like what we saw from earlier games today, where the teams look to go into that Fire Giant pit and then they're caught completely out of position and they're just gas pedal down.
Well, there's some damage at the bottom of your screen. What's the highest one I see there? 2,731 for the boy Yamin with that big old ultimate coming into play. That's a nice chunk of change for a mage.
That is just devastating damage, really.
I mean, to be fair, 2 auto attacks from a full build crit hunter would do that too.
There is that circumstance to consider, but Yamin having a lot more leeway on the soul this time around.
Sure.
Doesn't have to worry about the Bologna chasing him down.
Definitely a lot more freedom for him to move around, a little bit better peel. He's also got the Capri backup if he needs to revive him too. Although most of the time, Raph has been having to focus himself on the revivals because he's been tanking so much of the tower shots.
But because of this, Obey needed the target shift a long time ago. They're not finding the kills that they need to onto Rapper, and it's actually costing the team fights trying to commit so much into the bug.
Spirit Ball down, hitting onto Dimmy. A duck from Rapper didn't hit Twig, but the root will, and now there's a potential for extra pokes. The bad news is there's no extra poke available for NRG right now, but they have already chipped down this Phoenix to half health and waiting for the next minion wave.
And we saw last game where it was Yamin getting completely targeted out by the Bologna. I would say Ataraxia has been having the same difficulties this game on the Chiron. On the Kern, excuse me. They start with C. It comes out sometimes.
I mean, you couldn't even say his name right before, and now you change it to Chiron?
It's Ataraxia. I'm not that far from the truth.
You're blaming him for you not speaking properly? That's really mean.
Look, I don't want to talk about it, okay?
Okay, let's not talk about it then. Typical woman, as soon as you start losing an argument, it's, I don't want to talk about it no more. No, I'm not going to do it.
No, women never lose arguments, though. That's another thing.
That's why, because you say I don't want to talk about it anymore. To save it 14-2, though. 24 minutes in this game. Gold lead of 11,000 for NRG Esports. 14,500 experience lead too, and that experience does still matter. Multiple people still not level 20, which shows that gap is monumental. Fire Giant now being stripped down to half health by Melito and Yamin. Meanwhile, Millsy's been engaged on, but Twig's going to take one to the sky there. It was adapting up in the air. The Fire Giant is still alive with a circle of protection down too. The personal circle of protection. Fire Giant goes down. NRG Esports pick it up. Adapting credit with a kill. Ataraxia boxing against Dimmy. It's not a boxing match he wants. Millsy was boxing against Adapting. That wasn't a match he wanted either. Maniac is dead. Ataraxia the last potential one to fall as Twig was already forced back to base, and now NRG 5 members strong heading for the Phoenix on the right-hand side.
And it's looking like this is going to be a split between Obey and NRG.
Is it over here, do you reckon?
I think that it's over.
Can they end?
There's no way that Captain Twig is going to be able to hold out. Adapting's looking for him immediately. Cleaned up.
The Iron Minions from the left-hand side. Phoenix down in the mid lane. You are indeed correct, Taco. You are a woman after all. You're always right. Titan Falls, NRG, Esports, and Obey